So today we got 500 rounds loaded up and we're gonna be putting it through the brand new Hellcat Pro Comp. This is a brand new gun from Springfield Armory, and a lot of people are probably wondering if this should be your new conceal carry gun. So let's go ahead and get 500 rounds through this, test its reliability, and see if it should be. Also, later in the video, we are gonna be comparing the Hellcat Pro Comp to the SIG P365 Xmacro. These are very similar in size and both have the comps at the front here. So we're gonna talk about that and compare, see which is better. And we'll also compare it to a P365 XL without a comp on the slide to see if it actually does help or not. As always, full disclosure as we're getting set up here, Springfield Armory did send this out for testing and review. But that being said, 500 rounds is 500 rounds, so let's see how reliable it is. This version does come with the SMSC red dot on top, and then we have a 15 round mag in the gun, and then inside the case here is a 17 round mag with a little extended hang off on the bottom as well. We'll talk more about the gun later in the video here, but the biggest thing is this comp on the end to help with recoil mitigation. But first, get this dot zeroed in and get some rounds through it. Also, ammo we're using today is PMC Bronze 115 grain 9mm, which is the most affordable and basic training ammo you can probably pick up. All right, let's go ahead and get the first rounds through the gun, see if it even works. So from the factory, the red dot is a little off, but that's all right because we can zero it in. But one thing I wanted to point out is I put 4 shots here. Here's 1, 2, 3, and then I had a flyer here, but pretty solid grouping so far. Once we get that adjusted to the center, we're gonna be good to go. We spent a little bit longer zeroing the red dot here since this might be a conceal carry gun that I'm gonna use. But that being said, we do have it zeroed now, so let's get to doing some drills. Nowhere near as cool as Pew View. Slide doesn't want to lock back on the smaller mag. Everything runs great, but just no slide lock back. Yeah, doesn't want to do it again. All right, so we got the first 150 rounds through the gun here. First impressions, pretty solid gun. My one complaint so far, and it just takes some getting used to, is the trigger pull is pretty heavy. Completely understandable, since this is a conceal carry type gun, you typically want like a duty grade pull weight, which this does have around 6.5 pounds. Definitely not a deal breaker, just a reason to train with your guns and get used to it. And that's what we're doing today by putting 500 rounds through it. Now let's get some more mags loaded up and get some more rounds through it. All right, we got the first 250 rounds down, but the next thing I want to do in this video is we brought out the P365 XL, the P365 Xmacro comp, and then we have the Hellcat Pro comp. Let's do some back-to-back-to-back build drills with these to compare and see which one's better. And don't worry, as far as the round count goes, I have a separate bag here that I filled the SIG mags with, and then we have our 500 round pile for the Hellcat that we used for this one. Don't worry, I'm keeping track. Also real quick, let's just do a close-up of all these to compare it to the Hellcat Pro comp. So again, this is the Hellcat Pro comp. We get a 15 round flush mag capacity, but then we have the 17 round mag with a little overhang. We have the comp on the end here, and the cool thing about the Hellcat Pro Comp compared to the other ones is you actually get a 3.7-inch barrel, and then that barrel is ported with a cut in the slide. So that's how this one works. When comparing that to the P365 Xmacro, if we lock the slide back on this, you can see that the barrel is very short. This is a 3.1-inch barrel, and then that comp is only built into the slide. So the barrel on this gun stops right here, and then you have that comp on the slide to help with the recoil. So if you care about that 3.1-inch versus the 3.7, because everyone knows length matters, the Hellcat does have the Xmacro B. Lastly then, when comparing it to the P365 XL, this does have the 3.7-inch barrel. You can see it comes all the way to the end, but when looking at it compared to the Hellcat Pro Comp, you can see there is no port in the barrel on the end. There is no slide cut for the port or comp as well. So the P365 XL will definitely be a lot more snappier compared to either of these two other options on the table. Comparing the Hellcat Pro Comp to the P365 XL side by side, you can see that the grip is a little bit longer on the Hellcat Pro, which is why we can get 15 rounds in this versus only 12. Slide and barrel length is the same, except you do not have the comp or port cut on the P365 XL. Optic cut's the same, and then overall length here is the same as well. Comparing the Hellcat Pro to the P365 Xmacro, I'm gonna swap these over here. These two are just about identical in size. Looking from the top here, both have that comp or port cut into the front here. Both are optic cut. The grips are also just about the same. Yeah, basically I would say the same exact almost, but Sig Sauer does have some Houdini magic, and they are able to get a 17-round mag into this grip flush with the gun, versus the Hellcat Pro Comp has a 15-round mag flush with the gun. But again, you can use the extended 17-round mag for the Hellcat Pro Comp. Overall, grip-wise, the girth on the grip is identical as well, I would say. And when blindly holding these two, the only way you can tell the difference is by the slight grip texture difference, but very, very similar. So there's the close-up here. Let's get back to doing 500 rounds and actually do a comparison of these three side by side. First up, we have the P365 XL with no comp on it. Next up, we have the P365 XL Comp. Last up then is the Hellcat Pro Comp. Well, that was fun, doing the build drills side by side there. Not the most scientific test, but it gives you a good idea, at least for me, what I thought of each. First initial thoughts, it is goofy to go back to the P365 XL smaller grip, especially after shooting a P365 Xmacro or the Hellcat Pro Comp like we've been doing all day. The grips on these two are way better. They're just bigger, easier to grab. This has the Romeo X red dot. I do like this dot better than the SMC red dot that comes on the Hellcat Pro Comp, but very minor thing, and that's nothing about the gun. You can easily swap that out. Grip-wise, I was able to get a better and quicker grip on the Hellcat Pro Comp. It might be because I've already put 250 rounds through this today, and that was my first 12 or 15 rounds through this gun for today. Just goes to show, whenever you have practice with it, train with it, and you're gonna be able to use it better. These two side by side, it's a toss-up right now. The only big difference I can think of right now is just the mag capacity. The Xmacro gets 17 flush, and the Hellcat Pro Comp gets 15 flush. And again, if you can shoot better with a Hellcat, I'll sacrifice 2 rounds to be more accurate any day. Well, we got 250 or 200 more rounds to put through the Hellcat Pro Comp, so let's get back to it. All right, so we are on our last 100 rounds here in this test. So let's go ahead and get these loaded up and finish it out. That trigger freeze, man. It's got a thick wall. All right, we are on our last box here, so last 50 rounds. Am I gonna jinx it? The gun's been flawless so far. Let's see what happens in the last 50. For the last couple mags here, what do you say we round this out with a bunch of bill drills? While I do love bill drills here, one thing to note on the gun is since it's a small guy and we have that port and comp at the end here, this gets real hot on the slide here. I've taken it in the car in between shots here to cool off that slide. Otherwise, you're gonna get a big nasty blister. I actually have 1 or 2 starting there on my thumb from that heat and the friction on the slide. So just a heads up, it gets hot. So there you have it. We just ran 500 rounds through the brand new Springfield Armory Hellcat Pro Comp. How many malfunctions did we have? 0, zilch, zada, none, nil, whatever you want to call it, none. The gun ran flawless. That being said, one issue I did notice from the 500 rounds is for these mags, the 15 and the 17 rounder, is it did not always lock back on the last round like it should. Like this. So throughout the video, a lot of times you'd see me shoot the last round, it would actually click, and then I'd have to give it like a little tap rack, see it's empty, and then I would reload to the next mag. Maybe once we get some more rounds through these mags, it'll break them in, and then it will work every time. But at the beginning here, we did have quite a bit of those where the slide didn't lock back. Now the major question here, would I carry this and trust my life to it? After this test today, oh yeah. Definitely. So the reliability is on point with the Hellcat Pro Comp, but I would say my major con on this gun has got to be the trigger. Again, this gun has about a 6.5 pound duty grade trigger, which for a lot of concealed carry guns makes sense because you don't want this accidentally going off in a bag, a purse, or in your holster. But comparing that to some other options like my P365 Xmacro, which has about a 5 or 5.5 pound trigger pull, this heavier one does take some getting used to. Again, train with your gear though, and you'll be just fine. The compensator definitely does help. We did have the P365 XL without a comp that I did shoot these side by side with, and you can definitely tell a difference. I would say about 20% reduction in muzzle flip there, and then also having the larger grip on the gun does help too. One other minor complaint with this gun though, but nothing against the reliability, is the optic that comes with it. This is the Shield SMC that did come from Springfield on the gun, and I do not like this optic at all. Does it work? Yes. Does it get the job done? Kind of. But zeroing this did suck because they don't put like left or right, up or down on this. You have to use their tiny Allen wrench tool, which is kind of annoying. And then also you can't adjust the brightness at all. It's all off like an auto dimmer on the side here. And there was a lot of times, especially here in hot Texas, where the dot was just too dim and I could barely see it and pick it up. Easy solution to this though, remove the Shield red dot, put a CH Precision plate adapter on it, add a hollow sun optic or whatever your favorite smaller footprint optic is, and then you're good to go. Also from the video comparing this gun directly to the P365 Xmacro comp, this is a very apples to apples comparison. As far as which one's better for you, try both. They're gonna be very, very similar. I'm having a hard time choosing which one I would carry. Honestly, maybe I should carry both and dual wield. The recoil felt basically the same on both of these with the comp and ports on it. The grip is about identical. The SIG, you do get 2 additional rounds with the flush mag on it versus the 15 on the Hellcat Pro Comp. But I will say the Hellcat Pro Comp will definitely be a better option for all my Glock fanboys out there that have a 43X that they aren't quite happy with, but they're too stubborn to switch to a SIG Xmacro. Do yourself a favor and just pick up the Hellcat Pro Comp, and no one's gonna judge you. Springfield Armory is pretty awesome with all the stuff they're coming out with, and this is just another product to attest to that. I hope this was helpful. Let me know down in the comments what you think of the new Springfield Armory Hellcat Pro Comp, and if you're gonna be picking one of these up. Ammo isn't cheap, so like, comment, and subscribe, and we'll see you in the next video.